Hello and welcome to Aha Moments for September 4th. This Aha Moment Monday was originally released September 4th in 2023, and it's entitled, Don't Say That. And I hope you like it. If you are subscribed to jrang.com, then you are getting your Aha Moments every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. If not, then please subscribe and feel free to share them around. Okay, and let's have a conversation. I love when Aha goes out and I get the feedback. It's really fun to see what perspective people are getting if they're receiving the message that I think that I've wrapped up within the Aha Moment, but oftentimes not. And that's what's so okay about Aha Moments, is that they're all unique to us, right? Not just my Aha Moment Mondays that I'm writing. There's probably multiple messages in there, maybe hitting different chords with different people. But the Aha Moments in general, I mean, they're these little illuminations that happen, and sometimes they are little, sometimes they're massive. Sometimes when your back is against a wall or something major strikes that, and sometimes the Aha Moment doesn't happen at that time. It's a little bit later when you look back and go, wow, I didn't get it at the time. I needed that to happen in order for me to shift my perspective, to change how I saw things, right? I'm a bit of a disruptor that way. Sometimes I get into trouble, but I welcome disruption, and I don't say that I love it. I think having moved so many times as a child made a difference. As a family, we moved quite a bit, and you get used to disruption. You get used to kind of finding your place, and you get used to rolling with it. So I'm sort of the opposite of complacent. Not that I don't maybe fall into routines, and I think there's something to be said for that from a body rhythm standpoint. However, I'm okay with some disruption, with looking at things in a different way and keeping myself fresh. It's like taking the same route to the same store, to the same school, to the same gym, or whatever it is, and you do the same thing all the time. Everything becomes very subliminal, and you stop seeing things, right? You just realize that, oh my God, a month went by, and 6 months went by, and 5 years went by, and nothing really changed. So encouraging those Aha Moments is a good thing. So I started writing these Aha Moment Mondays probably 8 or 9 years ago. I don't even know anymore. It's just a really long time. And now having the YouTube videos just give us a chance for me to read them to you if you did not receive them. And then, of course, to have a little bit of a dialogue on what the message meant, what I think it means, or maybe elaborate, and then for us to talk about that a little bit more. So I'm going to call up one for September 4th, saying, don't say that. Remember, my mom used to say, what'd you say that for? It's like, and you're going to find out in this Aha, if you didn't you didn't read it or receive it already, what that actually does. So anyway, here we go. Do any of these sound familiar? Cheer up. Don't cry. It's not that bad. It's wrong to think that way. You're making way too big a deal out of this. Don't be like that. You're overreacting. Don't be so sensitive. Boys don't cry. Or maybe you're bringing everyone down. Go wash your face, come back with a smile. That's my girl. Invalidation. The opposite of being recognized, heard, and accepted. Invalidation is the disregard or minimizing, dismissing, sometimes punishing, and definitely trivializing of emotional expression. It sounds so horrible. Why would anybody say something like that to another human being? The truth is, invalidation is often delivered by well-intentioned good people, consoling a young one, a friend, or a coworker with a vote of confidence, showing them the way with your words may seem supportive, but that toxic positivity can have the opposite effect and actually erode someone's feelings of self-worth. How do we encourage without imposing a solution? Aha, listen from where they're at. In quotes, real empathy is sometimes not insisting that it will be okay, but acknowledging that it is not. Sheryl Sandberg. If someone is drowning, you would not offer them swimming lessons from the sidelines, right? You'd toss them a life buoy. So you needn't agree with the expression of another, try and fix them, or even wade in the pool with them. However, giving them a life-saving ear and allowing them to get to safety on their own shows you're meeting them where they are without judgment or in any way adding to their trauma. Validation of self is where real adult power lies, but let's not forget we're tribal beings. Sometimes the validation of someone you love may be just the boost they need at that moment. One compassionate foot in front of the other. So, I remember my mom saying that. What'd you say that for? And all of a sudden it was just like my spirit was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? You know, and my mom was like, again, well-intentioned, but was questioning it. It's like, ah. So all of those things, don't cry, don't feel that way, don't be so sensitive. Why'd you say that? All of those things. That's and as we're when we're listening to somebody when they're having an issue, and I see this often with parents, that as soon as a kid bumps themselves, or they're upset because somebody took their toy, or they're not happy what happened at school or whatever, and the parents are like, don't cry, don't cry. And I know they're trying to console them and say, it's okay, it's a safe place. But you know what, it's okay to cry, it's okay to express yourself. And if there's something that doesn't feel well, then it's okay to say so. And nobody knows your situation like you do. And here's the thing, again, from an empathy standpoint, what Sheryl Sandberg was talking about is that recognizing that something maybe is not okay is a good thing to do. So it's not like you're trying to wade in the pool. It's not like you're jumping in after a drowning person so that you both go down the river. That's not the point. The point is that you actually can meet them emotionally, so that if somebody says, that really hurt my feelings, whatever that emotion is, or the sensitivity or something, maybe from the outside, it seems like they're overreacting or being too sensitive, and possibly from their own growth that you can see that, and you're probably right. However, at that time, when they're feeling that feeling, it's okay to acknowledge that feeling so that they can get to safety themselves, right? I think our role as an empath is to accept the situation as is, and then provide that path or that bridge, or that life buoy that maybe you can reel somebody in. But they need to do that work for themselves too, right? And so I think dismissing or demeaning, we all do it, we all can do it, and oftentimes it's very well-meaning, because sometimes from our vantage point, something seems silly, or it seems trivial or whatever. I find it, especially with kids, that I the one thing that I know that I did with my son specifically is always paid attention to his feelings and never made him feel like he was silly or wrong, for feeling the feelings of a child. And not just the crying or falling or anything like that, but sometimes something that happens amongst siblings, or amongst friends at school, or whatever, in the playground, whatever it is to them is very important, seems trivial to an adult who is managing a mortgage and a job and a family and repairs and everything else. Like, they just, their lives are so full, and they think, how many times the parents said, oh, you got it made, you don't have to make any decisions or whatever. But to a child in their circumstances at their time, whatever that age is, they have their own fears and they have their own stresses, right? So I think recognizing those stresses at the time and just meeting them where they are, and then having the dialogue that allows them to climb out on their own, is so healthy. So, we all need to be a little bit of a coach, to ourselves, to our colleagues and everything. And I did end this aha about self-validation. And when a lot of times with these HAs, they don't always stream out. The idea is there, and then I'll do some research, I'll look up some quotes, I looked up like invalidation. Okay, let's put all the words together that describe invalidation. And when I was looking for quotes on that, I found I didn't find what I was looking for, because everything was about self-validation. You don't need anybody else to validate yourself, and that's weakness, and that's handing over your power and everything. And I get that, and you probably do too, right? However, again, I ended at saying we're tribal beings, and while it can be a bit of a weakness to count on the tribe or count on other people for validation. And I agree, self-validation is the king of all powers, for sure. But let's understand that we are tribal beings, that we do feed off one another. And I don't think it's a bad thing for somebody to say, hey, I get what you're feeling. I get where you're coming from. I can totally see that happening. I understand why you're upset. Like, that's not a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think that's showing compassion. And so sometimes, or in the long run, yes, we need to do it on our own. We need to be compassionate. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to hold ourselves accountable. And then having that validation saying, and I know I said this to a friend of mine yesterday, because I went through a very difficult situation. And she was doing very well in saying to me, I can understand how you're feeling that way. And I said to her, I know who I am. And so at the end of the day, all kinds of things can happen. And I don't make excuses for myself. I know who I am. And so I know my faults and I know my strengths. And so I'm going to move forward. But in that particular time when I'm just feeling a little wounded or whatever, you want whatever label you want. Sometimes it's kind of nice for somebody to just come in and say, I can understand how you feel that way, right? That's it. That's all they need to do. You don't need somebody to come in and fix it for you, because fixing, I was going to put this in the ha and then I hesitated. Fixing implies that we're broken, and we are not. We are all simply evolving, right? We're all simply going through our own life lessons and we're going through our own process, and none of us is broken. We just have our own lessons to learn at our own time. So our guides come in, our coaches come in, and the ahas come in to show us the way, especially if we are operating instinctually, we allow our instincts to be clear and open, and we listen to them, then we can listen for those little nuggets. But let's work on, and again, aha moments, I'm always talking to myself first, so understand that you're just eavesdropping, but I'm saying to myself, let's make sure that in any circumstance like this, when somebody is expressing, that we don't judge, that we understand, that we seek to understand where they are coming from, and then if we can throw them a life preserver, a life buoy. Now, that's not everybody's going to want it, and that's certainly what I've run into. And I'm sure you have as well, that sometimes people are like, no, I'm like, they're stuck in their drama. They want to do their own thing. You think you can help them. You think that you can throw, that life buoy in, and they're just not going to grab it. So, okay, we got to back off and allow them to sink or swim, I guess, right? However it's going to happen. That's their choice and their I was going to say drama, but it could be to their rejoice as well. But from our standpoint, if we're standing firmly on shore, and we think that we've got somebody that, that can help them, and they're not willing to grab onto it, well, we have to be okay with that, right? Sometimes that's really difficult, especially when it's your kids. Any of the parents are going to go, oh my God, my kid drives me crazy. But we need to be able to release to a certain extent and allow them to experience, right? I know I wanted to do that as a kid. I love the fact that my parents were there as a safety net, and that I could, talk with them. However, at the end of the day, I really wanted to gather my own information and make my own decisions. And I knew that at a very, very young age. So I think that allows an individual to become self-empowered, right? Oh, that's my take on it. What's your take on it? Hey, let's talk about it. Okay. Send me a note, put a comment in, like, share, subscribe, and whatever you do, succeed deliberately. Bye-bye.